This is why you can't stop thinking about food. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome back to Abby's Kitchen. Today we're going to be diving into a super hot topic in the health and weight loss world, food noise. Food noise isn't new. It's likely been around since the advent of diet culture at least, if not well before that, but we really only started talking about it more casually with the popularity of Ozempic. So today we're going to be getting into the thick of things, exploring the who, what, and why of food noise, the role of GLP-1 agonists, and what else we can do beyond weight loss drugs to quiet that food noise down. But first, a quick message from my sponsor. I'm so excited to tell you about my sponsor today, so let me talk about Nourish. As a dietitian, you know I am all about getting one-on-one RD support over following advice from like random influencers online. But I get messages from a lot of you that you've struggled to find an RD that will accept your unique insurance plan, which is exactly why I recommend Nourish. A lot of people don't know this, but there is a difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist in that RDs are regulated professionals that are held to high standards for education and evidence-based care. Nourish is the easiest way to find an actual registered dietitian and get it covered by your insurance. They accept hundreds of insurance plans in all 50 US states, with 94% of their patients paying $0 out of pocket. They also have RDs that specialize in a variety of health concerns, from weight management to eating disorders to IBS, diabetes, prenatal, and so much more. The dietitians don't just give you a one-size-fits-all program. They provide personalized nutrition therapy through flexible online care, so it's very convenient and effective for long-term behavior changes. Plus, Nourish has a really great app where you can discuss strategies with your dietitian, track your symptoms, and easily manage your appointments. I honestly cannot recommend this enough. So if you are looking to get one-on-one RD support or to have it covered effortlessly by your insurance plan, all you need to do is go to usenourish.com/Abby's Kitchen to find a great RD fit for you. Alrighty folks, a very quick disclaimer here that I am a dietitian, I'm not a psychologist or a neurologist, so we are really going to be keeping it top level, and I'm going to be sharing what I've gleaned from the research. Also, I would love if you would subscribe. It really does help me out. And also, if you're not already, please check out my new podcast, Bite Back, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's get into it. So first of all, what exactly is food noise anyway? So food noise has never really been clearly defined in the literature, but some research do describe it as food-related obsession, rumination, and intrusive thoughts. It's the kind of noise that disrupts basic, regular patterns of activity. You are constantly thinking about food, checking Uber Eats or restaurant menus, and planning your next meal. Now, before GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic took center stage, we mostly talked about food noise as a result of restriction or eating disorders. Basically, it's a common adaptive mechanism to try to force you to eat more when your body is actually in a state of deprivation. And a lot of the criticism of ideas like food addiction come from the belief that people only have these overwhelming cravings when they are physically or emotionally deprived. But we now know that persistent food noise can be experienced by folks who actually aren't restricting at all, or even by folks who are actually overeating. Now, closely intertwined with food noise is something called food cue reactivity, which is a concept that's rooted in classic Pavlovian conditioning. Food cues are all of the physiological, emotional, and cognitive responses that we get from external cues associated with food. So things like smell, a certain place, person, or sound like a jingle or song. So if you usually eat chips at night while you're watching The Bachelor, over time, simply hearing the Bachelor jingle at the start of the show may trigger an intense craving for those chips. And I bet you can't just eat just one. Now, another related concept is food reward, which encompasses the pleasurable and reinforcing properties of eating, largely as mediated by the brain's reward and motivation systems, especially those dopamine pathways. So food reward explains why we're motivated to eat certain foods even when we're not particularly hungry, based on two pieces of criteria: liking and wanting. Liking is the hedonic pleasure-based response to food linked to opioid-like systems, while wanting is the motivation and craving linked to those dopamine systems, especially the mesolimbic pathway. So to put this together, food cues activate food reward, which then triggers food noise. So like if we like and want those fragrant chocolate chip cookies, then it reinforces and strengthens neural pathways to make us crave those cookies into the future, which turns the volume of the food noise way up. Now, we're all exposed to food cues all around us all the time, and we all experience some sort of food reward to some extent. And there will always be some level of food noise for everyone when you're restricting or dieting. However, some people find these experiences completely inescapable. As one Reddit user said of their food noise, "I have binge eating disorder and the food noise is all consuming. All day, I'm either seeking out my next fix or fighting against it. Every day feels like I'm starting again from square one and I fall off the wagon every time." There is a lot we don't know about who is susceptible to extreme food noise, but it is likely that certain genes may play a role. For example, the FTO gene is involved with appetite regulation, food reward sensitivity, and overeating. So someone with one copy of the risk allele will have a 23% increased risk of obesity, and folks with two copies of the allele will have a 70% increased risk. So for these folks, the food noise is very much completely out of their control. And this is where Ozempic comes into play. Ozempic and other GLP-1 receptor agonists are some of the most powerful weight loss drugs we have ever seen. Hands down, full stop. Yes, these drugs act to reduce physical hunger by delaying stomach emptying and stimulating the release of insulin and GLP-1, all of which can help to suppress appetite. But what differentiates them from other weight loss medications is that they act on the reward centers of the brain, effectively quieting food noise along with interest in other rewarding behaviors like smoking and drinking. Animal models have shown that injected GLP-1 agonists act on parts of the brain that suppress appetite and may even cross the blood-brain barrier. Now, we still need more research to fully understand the mechanisms of GLP-1 agonists on brain activity and how they interact with some of those food cue reactivity and reward sensitivity genes. But all of this is in line with the anecdotal evidence that we've seen in humans. Considering how little we heard about food noise prior to Ozempic, that unexpected effect seems to have come as a bit of a surprise for a lot of folks. As one creator commented, it was the key to establishing a healthy relationship with food. And many other online creators have also noted the openness in their headspace since starting Ozempic. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion amongst anti-diet dietitians, but I see these as huge wins in my book. Countless folks in the comment sections of videos about Ozempic have noted that once these drugs quieted their food noise, they actually had the mental capacity, like in their world, to focus on incorporating healthier habits. And given that dopamine dysfunction and a multitude of specific genes may be at play for many folks with obesity, it seems unfair and exclusionary to shame folks for trying a GLP-1 when they very much may be facing non-modifiable genetic limitations to weight loss. Now, with all that said, I don't think weight loss drugs like a GLP-1 receptor agonist are for everyone. And they also shouldn't be the first-line treatment. They are expensive, they come with very serious side effects, and they typically require you to stay on them for life. So this isn't and really shouldn't be an easy or obvious choice for a lot of people to make. Food noise is ultimately multifactorial, and although GLP-1s have demonstrated a lot of success in quieting it, they're not the only way to tackle it. So I want to share some of my top dietitian tips for managing food noise without medication support. Number one, a real shocker for folks who have been watching my content for a long time, but it's to eat regular meals and snacks. Often when we're hungry or we're in an energy deficit, whether intentionally or unintentionally, the food noise starts to get very loud. even when we may not be physically hungry, if we are depriving ourselves of food we like, basically it's back to what I said earlier on in this episode, but this is just an adaptive mechanism to get your body to eat more food. And I get this is really frustrating when you are in a calorie deficit because you are trying to lose weight. But it doesn't have to be that way. So making sure that you are still eating regularly throughout the day, even if you are in a calorie deficit, can help you arrive at your next meal comfortably hungry rather than spending your entire afternoon ravenous and ruminating what you're going to be eating after dark. And this brings me to point number 2, which is very important because what you eat really does matter. But tip number 2 is to prioritize hunger-crushing combos with foods rich in protein, fiber, and healthy fats over naked carbs. Naked carbs just don't promote long-lasting satiety. So you are going to experience that physical hunger, even if you have had enough calories in your day, that of course can lead to a lot of food noise until you do eat again. The hunger-crushing compounds stimulate satiety hormones, including GLP-1. They slow digestion and they stabilize blood sugars to prevent us from dipping into hanger mode prematurely. If you're looking for some easy hunger-crushing combo ideas, make sure you check the description box for my free Hunger Crushing Combo ebook, and also check out my blog. I've also got a whole playlist here on YouTube with ways you can get your fix. Tip 3 is to engage in regular movement. And remember folks, all movement is good movement. Believe it or not, exercise is actually not a great contributor to weight loss. However, it does increase dopamine concentrations in the brain, serving as a much healthier source of those happy hormones when compared to drugs, drinking, or food. And if you can't imagine getting a runner's high because you hate running or your pelvic floor just can't hack it, then don't run. Choose an activity that feels joyful and pleasurable to you. Tip 4 is to prioritize your sleep. Research has shown that poor sleep can increase our hunger hormones and cravings for energy-dense foods. So prioritize that sleep hygiene with a cool, dark room and a consistent bedtime away from screens if possible to get a solid 7 to 9 hours rest. Tip 5 is to build your own dopamine menu. So these dopamine menus have really been everywhere on social media and are essentially a list of activities or habits that spark motivation, pleasure, and enjoyment so that you don't have to rely on food for that dopamine boost. Appetizers are meant to be 5-minute easy activities like listening to your favorite song or petting your dog. Entrees are for longer activities like getting a facial or going to a workout class. And desserts are going to be things you're going to be enjoying or experiencing in more moderation, like going to a concert or planning a trip. I personally love the idea of having a girls' night to make your own physical dopamine menu that you can literally stick on your desk or fridge when you need a quick little pick-me-up. And then my last tip, of course, is to seek professional help from a registered dietitian or therapist when necessary. Food noise, like I said, is multifactorial, and oftentimes it can stem from things like trauma or disordered eating, which is really when professional support can be incredibly helpful. Weight loss is never just about the food. It's never just about choosing an apple over a bag of chips. So I always recommend focusing on our mental health before trying to treat a physical symptom like overeating or weight gain. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. As I mentioned, food noise is such a big topic, yet it's incredibly common. So if you're comfortable, I would love to hear about your experiences in the comments and what's worked well for you. Also, share this video with a friend if you found it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe and check out my new podcast, Bite Back, for more science-based content like this. See you next time. Bye.